Welcome back, guys, to Inside the Boardroom. Today, we're inviting James Cross, CEO of E-Power Resources, to learn a whole lot more about something called graphite. James, thank you for being here. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Thanks, Rachel. It's good to be here.
So graphite, we can't talk about this metal without talking about China and East Africa, mainly because they're the dominant suppliers of it. What is your place, E-Power Resources' place here?
Well, E-Power is a graphite-focused company, and our flagship project is in Quebec. At the moment, there is no production coming from the U.S., no production of graphite, and Canada only has one very small mine, also in Quebec, producing graphite. So while North American industry is a big consumer of graphite, it doesn't really have enough homegrown manufacturing capacity, just that one small mine in Quebec. So at the moment, with the geopolitical situation as it is, what we're seeing is both North America and the European Union searching or to very quickly find access to critical raw materials. And graphite is one of the most essential of those.
And your business strategy is not about going into production. So what is it about then?
Yeah, we're not trying to build a billion-dollar company here, but we know that the manufacturing base absolutely has to be able to get graphite to continue manufacturing. North America is probably going to need about 40 significant graphite projects. And at the moment, there are 10. And what the reason we formed the company was expecting that industrial players requiring graphite would have to buy graphite projects while the graphite's still sitting in the ground. And for a few years, that didn't really happen. But it has happened now. One of our peer companies, Nouveau Monde Graphite, which is probably the, dominant player in North American graphite, they have 2 of those 10 projects. And about a year ago, they announced simultaneous, very large investments in excess of $300 million US from General Motors, Panasonic, and Mitsui, all at the same time. So now that the manufacturing capacity is being erected all over the place, you need some graphite to follow that. And our business model is about providing industry with that essential link in their supply chain. And that link is access to graphite. So we never intend to go to our investors and say, all right, now we need $500 million for CapEx. Instead, what we did was put together a land package around really some, we could call it obvious graphite in the ground. And then really, you're making a project out of something that otherwise would not be, because there would be little pieces of it in lots of different hands. So we put together a land package and essentially created this project, which is now a globally and certainly continentally significant project. And it's waiting for industry to come get it. And we know industry needs it. It's an essential link in their supply chain. So without deploying tremendous amounts of capital, our company was about putting that project together, providing it to industry. So if you imagine building a factory for $5 billion and you need access to graphite and you just can't get it unless you take on a project. If you're spending $5 billion on the factory, what's another $150 million for a graphite deposit to make sure that you can actually produce something with it? So we're looking for those exponential returns that come from not spending so much money on the ground, providing industry an essential solution that they need, and waiting for that day when a manufacturer, probably a manufacturer, maybe in partnership with a mining company or anyone who wants to control some graphite, to come in and buy the project from us and take it to production themselves.
Well, I understand that exploration will start back up at your Tetapisca property in Quebec in June.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the quality of the graphite at your property?
All graphite is not necessarily created equal. There are two types, amorphous and flake. Amorphous is the stuff you write with a pencil. It's basically an oily and powdery substance and has lots of uses, but you don't really get a whole lot of money for selling it. It's the world's got plenty of it. There's also flake graphite, which if you pick up a rock with graphite in it, take a look at it, you'll see it looks as though it's a pile of little frisbees in there that might just be, 3 or 4 millimeters in size each. But flake graphite, especially very large flake graphite, commands a much higher price and has more specialized uses. And it's better for EV batteries. They tend to use fine flake, but large flake is even better. And to give you another example of what an essential place for large flake graphite, if you've ever seen the space shuttle, it comes in, it's got a black underbelly. When it re-enters the atmosphere, that underbelly is coated with graphite, and it's large flake graphite because it has to be heat resistant enough for the space shuttle to re-enter without disintegrating. So our property, when you just pick, well, first, it's as simple as this. When you pick up a rock and you take a look at it, you see quite a lot of very good flake graphite. We're doing additional metallurgical test work now to get a flake size distribution on a few of our target areas on the property. So all our target areas for graphite are from surface. So we're basically talking about places where you can kick the graphite, pick it up, and see with the naked eye it's quite good flake. And we're getting those results done right now to see how much of it is really good flake, middle, and how much is amorphous. And there will always be a mix of all of the above.
Now, before we have to close off our interview, wondering what you expect to see in terms of news flow in the next couple of months for audience to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, the next big piece of news flow is those that metallurgical testing results. I'm expecting that probably around the 1st of May, something like that. And that'll give us the ability to put a perceived dollar value on 4 of the target areas from which we took a 1-ton sample during the last field season. So, if you've got a target area at surface and you're looking at the black stuff on the ground, we took a ton from, 4 of those target areas and are getting that tested for a flake size distribution. At that point, we know, all right, target number 1 might have an implied value of X dollars per ton based on current graphite prices for different flake sizes, and helps us prioritize on which targets we'll go ahead and drill a resource, either an in-house resource estimate that can be shown to a manufacturer or a 43101 resource estimate that is helpful for the investment community.
Listen, James, thank you for being here with us. We hope to see you back in our studio. That's James Cross of ePower Resources, a company aiming to secure homegrown graphite supply here in North America. You can find the company on the CSC and also on the Frankfurt Exchange. Thanks for being here.